Welcome to Prompt 3, Challenges in Education. I chose to focus on teaching American history amid critical race theory restrictions, defining both sides of the challenge. Supportive side, the need for the full and honest history curriculum. I believe that teaching a complete and accurate history is critical for all students, especially African American students, who deserve to see their history reflected accurately in their education. Understanding history provides students with a foundation for critical thinking and civic engagement. Culturally responsive teaching encourages students' engagement and a sense of identity, leading to a better academic outcome. Omitting this or distorting history denies these students their essential connection to their past. Opposing side, legislative restrictions on critical race theory. Lawmakers in Georgia, along with many other states, have implemented restrictions on how critical race theory topics are taught in school, arguing that critical race theory promotes division and guilt. Some believe that history should be taught in a way that emphasizes unity rather than focusing on past injustices. Critics argue that CRT creates an overly politicized classroom environment that fosters resentment rather than a constructive dialogue. Why this is considered challenging. In my own classroom, I incorporate history lessons that are truthful, engaging, and developmentally appropriate. However, the restrictions create uncertainty about what I can and how I can address certain questions from my students. I have students who ask, why were some people treated unfairly? Because they have conversations at home with their parents, as they should. And I must carefully navigate the conversations so that I will stay in compliance with the state regulations. I believe if African American students do not see their history represented in the curriculum, it contributes to a disengagement and a sense of alienation in the learning process. Various viewpoints on the challenge. Viewpoint 1, advocates for full historical accuracy. Many educators, parents, and scholars believe that a comprehensive history curriculum, including discussions on systematic racism, Jim Crow laws, and the civil rights movement, are necessary for students to fully understand American history. They argue that omitting these realities leads to historical illiteracy, and I believe that as well. Acknowledging these injustices allows students to critically examine the past and understand how history shapes present-day society. Viewpoint number 2, supporters of the legislative restrictions. Some lawmakers and parents believe that teaching about the systematic racism and division leads to feelings of guilt or resentment among students. They argue that schools should focus on a more patriotic or neutral version of history. They argue that schools should focus on a shared, neutral identity rather than highlighting historical injustices that could cause division. how this issue manifests in the classroom and school system. In my school, there are moments when I have to be mindful of how I frame historical topics. While teaching about Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement, I emphasize the theme of perseverance and justice while ensuring that I don't overstep the guidelines from the state. I've noticed that some students, especially my African American students, express frustration because, again, they have conversations at home, as they should, with their parents, and their parents are quite frank with them about the injustices that they see in the world around them. These moments highlight the importance of representation and honest historical discussions in education. Culturally responsive teaching is essential for student engagement and academic success, particularly for students who are marginalized and who have marginalized backgrounds. How I have used this information in my instruction, helping others understand the challenge. I have engaged the discussion with my fellow colleagues about how we can complete history while sharing this within the guidelines. I've shared strategies using primary sources, literature, and open-minded discussions to navigate these challenges. Impact on student learning and success. By carefully choosing resources such as historical fiction books and primary documents, I can ensure my students receive a fuller understanding of history. I have noticed that when students see themselves in curriculum and engagement, their engagement and curiosity definitely increases. Workshop or training for school community. I have definitely helped to facilitate discussions with parents about how to talk to their children about Ruby Bridges at home. When I have had workshops, I have provided books and recommendations for resources to help families supplement what we've been teaching in class. This initiates and it helps to bridge the gap between the home and school connection, ensuring that my students receive a well-rounded historical education despite the curriculum restrictions. I always tell my students to always do research on their own. Don't just let me tell them information, but I encourage them always to do their own research. In the end of our Ruby Bridges unit, we conducted it wasn't completely at the end of the research unit. At the end, we participated in a diversity experiment where we had a brown egg and a white egg. The brown egg symbolized Black people and the white egg symbolized white people. We put both of these eggs under the document camera. We cracked them open. We displayed them for the students to see. And we asked them, what did they see, what did they think, and what did they wonder? We let them turn and talk. And what they saw was that the brown and the white eggs were both the same on the inside. And what we wanted them to see from this experiment is that it's the same with human beings. Although we may look different on the outside, we are the same on the inside. We bleed red blood, we cry tears, we want a great life, We want peace. We want love. This brought home this unit full circle for our students. It made them think. It made them see the big picture. It helped them to really understand what we were trying to help them understand about the civil rights movement and about everything we had been teaching about the Ruby Bridges and the civil rights movement. Thank you for viewing this prompt.